Alright, here it is. Last video in the Countdown to Busto series. So it's 7 days post-race. Now, for those who don't know, the race itself wasn't the day I planned or expected, but that happens, and in all honesty it was the best I had to give on the day. So last Sunday that I couldn't have done much better than I did, so I've got to be proud of that. Just quickly, the swim was okay. The arms and shoulders were sore from the outset. It took me a while to get into my rhythm. The bike was alright. I think it was acceptable, but I just had sort of achy, tight legs from the outset as well, and just no zip in there. I had some patches where I felt good and I had some flow, but they were short-lived. And then the run was a bit of a slog. Again, I had no pop in the legs. I had some vastus medialis spasm, which is one of the quad muscles. And I just kind of felt like I was stuck in second gear. That's probably the best way to describe it. So I just had to keep asking myself all day long if I was doing the best I could. It was the best I had on the day. And obviously the answer was yes. And the numbers kind of took care of themselves. So that were a 27 high swim, which was, as I said, alright. That was sort of in line with my expectations. I was relatively happy with that, considering how I felt. A 221 bike, which I said 220 was sort of the goal. So again, that's probably I can probably just about accept that. And then the run was a 133, which is sort of 9 or 10 minutes slower than I was sort of expecting. That left me 7th in my age group, for those who want to know. But I guess the silver lining to the day, and potentially the reward for just hanging in there, was I got a World Championship spot. So that was one of the objectives for the season fulfilled. So happy with that. So I just want to go quickly into what happened, or what I think happened, and was it just a bad day? I think no. I'll give you a little bit of context, and anyone who's been following along will probably have a little bits of it, but it's probably only the guys who are closer to me that know really what happened. So the 8 to 10 days leading into the race there was lots going on, lots of travel, some long days, but don't feel too sorry for me, that's okay, I'm a big boy. But what did, what the curveballs, I guess, were lots of emotional stress, higher level of emotional stress. We were out in hospital with Oakley a couple of times, and obviously we're not at home, so that adds an element to it as well. So on top of it already being a big period, or 2-week period, there was that plus an accumulative lack of sleep. So those two together, on top of an already sort of higher load, I guess, is a great example of stress being stress. And the sign was there sort of when I left Sydney, because I developed a head cold. So it was there. So look, if you look into what happened on Sunday itself, potentially there's a chance that I was just not as well prepared as I thought I was, and I was being a bit delusional. But in all honesty, that's an emotional response. It's unfounded. The numbers are there. You can look back through training logs, and I know how I felt. I know how well I was performing. There's also a chance that I still had the leftovers of the cold and that illness, or maybe it was a little bit more than just a head cold. But again, I don't think that was the case. I was feeling okay. What was most likely is that I had higher stress. As I said, it was more emotional and lack of sleep. 8 to 10 days of just the body and brain just taking on a lot more than it normally would, and then I was trying to perform optimally. So when you say it like that, it's quite simple and quite obvious as to what happened. There's probably a little bit more of a scientific factor to it as well. There's probably maybe some detraining starting to occur. So for someone who's already trains at quite a low volume, to then drastically reduce my volume for those probably 8 to 10 days, that was both overall volume and intensity, I should say. There's potentially some detraining starting to occur as well. But that was sort of a call I made during that week, and my objective was to get to the start line with 100% health. which I think I was pretty much there, so I made that call. But yeah, I think that's those sort of 3 or 4 things. They sort of explain why what happened, and I have to accept that. So the race is done. The countdown to Busso Series is done. So thanks to anyone who's watched all the videos, or one video, or half of a video, and followed along, and the people who sort of messaged and said that they were enjoying the updates and they were learning things. That makes it even more rewarding for me. I definitely learned some things about, I guess, the last 2 weeks, but also just about doing this sort of thing in future, and I had fun, which I've mentioned a couple of times before, so that was good. As I said, the prep was good, the outcome wasn't. I would much rather have been sharing that I had a great day out, felt amazing, had a PB, everything went really, really well. But as those who are involved in this wonderful sport, it doesn't always work like that. And one of the objectives of this series was to keep it real, and share some of the trials and tribulations of an age group triathlete. So we'll definitely do more in the future, potentially me, and definitely with some of the other guys, some athletes. So look out for that. Thanks again. Cheers.